I was on a video call with HR when they told me my complaint had been reviewed and my supervisor would receive coaching. My name is Zara. I'm an engineering team lead at a fully remote software company. I've been here 4 years. I manage a team of 6 developers. The HR director's name is Lauren. She was on camera. The VP of People Operations was also on the call. Lauren spoke first. Zara, we've completed our review of your complaint regarding your supervisor, James. We've determined that while his management style may be direct, it doesn't constitute a policy violation. I'd filed a formal complaint 2 weeks ago. James had berated me in front of my team on a recorded video call. He'd questioned my technical competence. He'd told me I was too emotional to lead engineers. He'd done this 3 times in 2 months. I'd documented everything. I'd cited the company's respectful workplace policy. I'd attached video recordings and chat logs. What about the other complaints? I asked. Lauren paused before responding. I can't discuss other employee matters, but I can tell you that James is a valued leader who will be receiving additional coaching on communication. 3 other team leads have filed complaints about James in the past year. All were closed without action. I'm not able to confirm or deny other complaints, but we've addressed your concerns. James has been informed that his communication needs to be more constructive. This matter is now closed. The VP spoke. We're confident this coaching will resolve the situation. If you have future concerns, please reach out. The call ended. 1 week later, I received a calendar invite from James. Subject line, performance discussion. I joined the call. Lauren was also present. James spoke. Zara, we've decided to make a change. Your employment is being terminated effective immediately. We're restructuring the engineering organization and eliminating your position. I looked at Lauren. I filed a complaint about James 1 week ago. Lauren responded. This is a business decision unrelated to your complaint. The timing is coincidental. My role is being eliminated? Correct. You'll receive 2 weeks of severance. We'll send the paperwork this afternoon. The call ended. I sat at my desk. I opened my documentation folder. 3 complaints filed by other team leads, all dismissed by Lauren. All 3 team leads had left the company within 2 months of filing. Now I was the 4th. I opened my browser. I searched for employment attorneys. I called the first 3 on the list. The 3rd attorney answered. Her name was Catherine. I was terminated 1 week after filing a harassment complaint. 3 other employees filed similar complaints before me. All were dismissed. All 3 left the company shortly after. Do you have documentation? Yes. The complaints, the dismissal emails, the termination notice, video recordings of the incidents. Send everything to me. I'll review it today. I sent the files. Catherine called me back 2 hours later. This is retaliation. Clear pattern. I'm taking your case. Catherine sent me a representation agreement that afternoon. Contingency fee. 40% of any settlement or judgment. I signed it. I sent it back. Catherine called me the next day. I've reviewed everything. Lauren dismissed 4 identical complaints about James over 12 months. All 4 complainants left within 8 weeks. You were terminated 7 days after filing. That's textbook retaliation. What's our next step? I'm sending a demand letter to the General Counsel. We'll outline the retaliation claim. We'll request reinstatement, back pay, and damages. We'll also request that the company preserve all documents related to James and HR's handling of complaints. What if they don't respond? Then we file a lawsuit. But most companies settle these cases quietly. The pattern you've documented makes this strong. How long? The demand letter gives them 10 business days to respond. She continued, don't sign anything they send you. No severance agreements, no releases. Forward everything to me first. Understood. That afternoon, I received an email from the company. Severance agreement attached. 2 weeks of pay. Standard release of all claims. I forwarded it to Catherine without opening the attachment. She replied within an hour. "Don't sign this. I'm sending the demand letter tomorrow." The next day, Catherine sent me a copy of the demand letter. 6 pages. It outlined the timeline: my complaint about James, Lauren's dismissal, my termination 1 week later, the pattern of 3 prior complaints, all dismissed, all followed by departures. The letter cited Title VII retaliation provisions. It cited the company's own anti-retaliation policy. It demanded reinstatement, back pay, compensatory damages of $500,000, and attorney's fees. It also demanded preservation of all documents, emails, video recordings, and HR files related to James, and to all complaints filed against him. The letter gave the company 10 business days to respond. Catherine sent it via certified mail and email to the general counsel and CEO. On day 3, I received an email from Lauren. "Zara, I understand you've retained legal counsel. I want to reiterate that your termination was a business decision, unrelated to your complaint. We encourage you to reconsider the legal path you're pursuing. Litigation is costly and time-consuming for all parties." I forwarded it to Catherine. She called me immediately. "Lauren is contacting you directly. That's inappropriate now that you have counsel. I'm sending a cease and desist. All communication goes through me now." Should I respond? No. Everything goes through me. Catherine sent the cease and desist that afternoon. On day 6, Catherine received a response from the company's general counsel. His name was Robert. Catherine forwarded me the email. "We've reviewed the demand letter. The company denies all allegations of retaliation. The termination was part of a planned restructuring. We're prepared to offer 4 weeks' pay in exchange for a full release. This offer expires in 5 business days." Catherine called me. 4 weeks is insulting. I'm rejecting it and telling them we're prepared to file suit. What happens if we file? It becomes public. Discovery begins. We subpoena documents. We depose James, Lauren, and the other team leads. The process takes months, but it creates significant pressure. Do you think they'll settle before that? Yes. Once they realize we have the documentation and the pattern is provable, they'll want to avoid discovery. Catherine sent the rejection letter the next day. She stated we would file a lawsuit if a reasonable settlement wasn't reached within 5 business days. 2 days later, Robert called Catherine. She included me on a conference call. Robert spoke. "We'd like to discuss settlement terms to avoid the costs of litigation." Catherine responded. "This isn't a severance negotiation. This is a retaliation case with clear documentation. My client was terminated 7 days after filing a harassment complaint. 3 other employees filed identical complaints and all left shortly afterward. HR dismissed every complaint without proper investigation. The company maintains the termination was unrelated. The timing speaks for itself, 7 days, and the pattern makes this systematic, not coincidental." Robert went silent for a moment. "What are you looking for?" "Reinstatement, back pay from termination date, compensatory damages of $500,000, attorney's fees, and a commitment that HR will properly investigate complaints going forward." Reinstatement isn't realistic. The position has been eliminated. Then create a comparable position. My client was a high-performing team lead. I'll need to discuss this internally. Can we schedule a follow-up call next week? You have 3 days. After that, we file. The call ended. Catherine spoke to me after Robert disconnected. "They're taking us seriously now. Do you think they'll agree to reinstatement?" "Probably not, but they'll offer enough money to make the case go away. And they'll likely agree to policy changes." 2 days later, Robert called again. "We've discussed this with leadership. The company is willing to offer 1 year of salary as severance, health insurance continuation for 12 months, neutral reference, and agreement to implement enhanced harassment investigation procedures. Total package value approximately $120,000. Catherine looked at me through the video screen. I shook my head slightly. That's insufficient. My client is entitled to compensatory damages for the retaliation. We're looking at $250,000 total. 1 year salary plus $130,000 in damages. Attorney's fees separate. That's significantly more than we can authorize. Then we'll file on Monday. Discovery will reveal whether Lauren's pattern extends beyond these 4 cases. It will reveal whether the company has systemic issues with protecting harassers. That's not the story you want in public filings. Robert went silent. I need to escalate this to the board. They'll need to approve any settlement over $200,000. You have until Monday. The call ended. Catherine looked at me. Board involvement is good. It means they're taking the risk seriously. On Friday afternoon, Robert sent an email. The board has reviewed the matter. They've authorized a settlement of $225,000, inclusive of attorney's fees. This includes 1 year salary, $100,000 in compensatory damages, and $5,000 for attorney's fees. Health insurance for 12 months, neutral reference, implementation of new harassment investigation procedures, confidentiality agreement. Settlement must be finalized by end of next week. Catherine called me. $5,000 for attorney's fees is insulting. I'm countering. $225,000 for you, $50,000 for my fees. Total $275,000. She sent the counter that afternoon. Robert replied Monday morning. The board will agree to $250,000 total. $200,000 for your client, $50,000 for attorney's fees. Final offer. Catherine called me. $200,000 is substantial. After my 40% contingency, you'd net $120,000. But if they're paying my fees separately, you get the full $200,000. What about James and Lauren? The settlement doesn't address personnel decisions, but the board now knows there's a pattern. I'll accept. Over the next week, Catherine and Robert exchanged drafts of the settlement agreement. Final terms: $200,000 paid to me, $50,000 to Catherine for fees, 1 year of health insurance continuation, neutral reference letter, company agreement to implement enhanced harassment investigation procedures, including mandatory documentation of all complaint investigations and quarterly board reporting on workplace complaints. In exchange, full release of all claims, mutual non-disparagement, confidentiality regarding settlement terms. Catherine reviewed it with me line by line. The confidentiality means you can't discuss the settlement amount publicly. The non-disparagement means you can't publicly criticize the company. Can I tell people what happened? You can say you filed a complaint and were terminated. You can say you retained counsel and reached a settlement. You can't say James harassed you or that Lauren protected him. And you can't disclose the amount. I signed the settlement agreement. The check arrived 2 weeks later. $200,000. I deposited it. I started looking for new positions. Within 3 weeks, I had 2 final round interviews, both for engineering manager roles. Both paid more than my previous position. I accepted an offer at the company with stronger culture reviews. Engineering manager, 30% salary increase. I started 6 weeks after my termination. On my second week at the new company, I received a LinkedIn message from one of the other team leads who'd filed a complaint about James. Her name was Nicole. Zara, I heard you left the company. I wanted to let you know that James is no longer with the company. Lauren is on a leave of absence. Not sure of the details, but wanted you to know. I didn't respond. The settlement's non-disparagement clause prevented me from discussing it, but I did some research. James's LinkedIn profile no longer listed the company. His status showed open to opportunities. His departure date coincided with approximately 3 weeks after my settlement. Lauren's profile still showed her as employed, but she hadn't posted anything in 2 months. 3 months later, I received an email from Robert. Zara, I wanted to inform you that the company has completed implementation of the enhanced harassment investigation procedures outlined in our settlement agreement. All complaints are now documented formally. All investigations include mandatory interviews with complainants, accused parties, and witnesses. Results are reported quarterly to the board. I replied with a brief acknowledgement. 6 months after my settlement, I ran into Nicole at an industry conference. Zara, I wanted to thank you. For what? After you left, things changed at the company. They started taking complaints seriously. I filed another complaint about a different manager last month. HR actually investigated it. They interviewed everyone. The manager was placed on a performance improvement plan. That's good. I heard you hired a lawyer. I don't know what happened, but whatever you did made them take this seriously. I didn't confirm or deny. I'm glad things improved. A year after my termination, I was promoted to senior engineering manager at my new company. I managed 3 teams, 20 engineers total. I implemented policies in my division. Every complaint documented formally. Every investigation conducted thoroughly. Findings reported to leadership regardless of outcome. When Lauren dismissed my complaint and told me James would receive coaching, she'd been confident, dismissive, certain that the company's internal process was sufficient. She'd been wrong. She'd underestimated that I'd documented the pattern, not just my complaint, but the 3 before mine. All identical, all dismissed, all followed by departures. She'd underestimated that terminating me 7 days after I filed would be obvious retaliation. She'd underestimated that an experienced attorney would recognize the pattern immediately. I didn't argue with Lauren. I didn't appeal to higher management. I just called an attorney and let her do what HR should have done: investigate, document, and hold people accountable. Lauren protected my supervisor after 3 complaints. The 4th employee hired counsel. And once the board saw the documentation, the company's position changed very quickly. HR thought they could dismiss complaints without consequences. They learned that patterns create liability, and liability creates accountability, even when HR refuses to provide it.